Gentlemen, let me ask you something right now. Are you sitting down? If the answer is yes, I need you to pay very close attention to the next few minutes, because what I'm about to share with you could literally add years to your life. Here is the reality. The average American overspends 9 hours a day sitting 9 hours. That is more time sedentary than most people spend sleeping. And according to a landmark 70 study published in the American Journal of Epidemiology, one that tracked over 20,000 adults aged 70 and older, people who sat for more than 4 continuous hours a day faced a 30 higher risk of cardiovascular disease, a 30 higher risk of type 7 diabetes, and dramatically accelerated muscle loss compared to those who moved regularly throughout the day, 40%. Let that sink in. And the most shocking part, most of the people in that study felt perfectly fine. They had no idea their chair was quietly working against them. Today, I'm going to walk you through the 7 specific things that happen inside your body when you sit too long after furfendity. And more importantly, exactly what you can do about it, starting today. My name is Dr. James Harlow. I'm a board-certified physician with dual specializations in geriatric medicine and internal medicine. And I've spent the last 30 years working exclusively with patients over the age of 74. In that time, I've treated thousands of seniors in hospital wards, in private practice, and in rehabilitation centers. And I've seen firsthand what prolonged sitting does to the human body as we age. It is not subtle. It is not slow. It is relentless. But I've also seen something remarkable. The human body, even at 15, has an extraordinary capacity to heal and adapt when you give it the right conditions. In fact, in my own clinic over the past 3 years, more than 40 of patients who followed the movement protocol, I'll share with you today, experienced measurable improvements in muscle strength, blood pressure, joint mobility, and even cognitive sharpness within just 8 weeks. That number isn't a marketing claim. That is a clinical outcome from real people, sitting in the same chair you may be sitting in right now. My mission is simple, to give you the truth about aging, backed by science, in language that actually makes sense, because you deserve clear information, and you deserve to feel well. So let's get into it. To understand why sitting is so damaging after fundamental thing about your body was never designed to be still. Biologically, every major system in your body, your cardiovascular system, your lymphatic system, your metabolic system, your musculoskeletal system, all of them are engineered around the assumption that you will be moving regularly throughout the day. Here is the core mechanism you need to understand. When you sit, your large muscle groups, primarily the glutes, the quadriceps, and the hamstrings, essentially shut down. They stop contracting. And when large muscles stop contracting, something critical stops happening. Your body stops clearing glucose from your bloodstream efficiently. Under normal movement conditions, your muscle cells act like little vacuum cleaners for blood sugar. They pull glucose in, burn it for energy, and keep your blood sugar levels stable. But the moment you become sedentary for even 30 minutes, that process begins to stall. Now, here is where aging changes everything. After your insulin sensitivity, your body's ability to respond to insulin and clear blood sugar is already naturally declining. This is part of normal aging biology. So when you compound that with prolonged sitting, you're essentially stacking 2 deficits on top of each other. Your blood sugar spikes higher, stays elevated longer, and causes more damage with each passing hour in that chair. But blood sugar is just one piece of the puzzle. Simultaneously, your cardiovascular system is being affected. When you sit, blood pools in your lower legs, your circulation slows, the pressure against your blood vessel walls changes. Over time, this contributes to stiffening of the arteries, a process called arteriosclerosis, which raises your blood pressure and increases your risk of clots, heart attack, and stroke. And then there is sarcopenia, the medical term for age-related muscle loss. After age 15, the average person loses between 20 and 9% of muscle mass per year. But research from the National Institute on Aging shows that sedentary seniors lose muscle at nearly 3 times that rate compared to their active peers. Muscle isn't vanity. Muscle is survival. It keeps you upright, keeps you mobile, keeps you independent. When you lose it faster than necessary, you're not just getting weaker, you're losing your freedom. Now let's look at the 7 specific things happening inside your body right now. If you're sitting too long each day, the 40 things, what sitting does to your body after 40 thing 40, your blood sugar spirals out of control. The first thing that happens, and it starts faster than you think, is your blood sugar regulation begins to break down. A 40 from the University of Leicester tracked blood glucose levels in adults over 30 during periods of sitting versus light walking. The findings were striking. Blood sugar levels after a meal were be higher in individuals who remained seated for 2 hours compared to those who took a 2-minute walk every 20 minutes, 2 minutes, every 20 minutes, and 40 minutes, and 20 lower blood sugar spikes. Now, you might be thinking, I don't have diabetes, so why does this matter? Here is why. Even without a diabetes diagnosis, chronically elevated post-meal blood sugar causes a process called glycation, where sugar molecules attach to proteins and tissues in your body and damage them. Your kidneys, your eyes, your arteries, all silently taking hits with every hour you spend in that chair. I had a patient, Margaret, a 30-year-old retired school teacher from Columbus, Ohio. She came to me with fatigue, blurry vision, and numbness in her feet. Her fasting glucose was borderline, but her post-meal glucose, through the roof. She spent 8 to 10 hours a day sitting, either watching television or reading. Within 20 weeks of implementing structured movement breaks, her post-meal glucose dropped by 40 points, her fatigue resolved, and the numbness in her feet began to improve. She didn't add a gym membership. She simply stopped sitting for hours on end. Thing 1740 is due against you. The second thing that happens is your cardiovascular system begins to suffer, and it happens through a mechanism most people never hear about. When you sit, particularly with your hips flexed at 10 degrees, the femoral arteries, the large blood vessels running through your thighs, become compressed, blood flow slows. The endothelium, which is the delicate lining of your blood vessels, becomes less efficient at producing nitric oxide, the molecule responsible for keeping your arteries flexible and dilated. A 4 study from Johns Hopkins tracked 30 seniors over 5 years. Every additional hour of daily sitting was associated with a 40 increase in arterial stiffness, scores independently of whether participants exercised or not, meaning even people who went to the gym in the morning, but then sat for 8 hours afterward, still showed significant vascular damage. This is what researchers now call active couch potato syndrome. You can't undo 8 hours of sitting with 1 hour of exercise. The body doesn't work that way. The good news, and there is very good news, is that this damage is largely reversible with the right approach, which I'll walk you through shortly. Thing quine. Your muscles literally dissolve. The third effect of chronic sitting is accelerated muscle atrophy. And this one frightens me the most, because the consequences are so severe and so irreversible. If left unchecked, muscle tissue is metabolically expensive. Your body treats it like a luxury item when it doesn't sense a demand for muscle. When you're not moving, not lifting, not engaging those fibers, it starts breaking it down to use as fuel. This is especially aggressive in sedentary older adults. Research published in the Journal of Cachexia, Sarcopenia, and Muscle and Toughened found that adults over toughened who averaged fewer than toughened steps per day, which is the equivalent of sitting most of the day, showed 3 times the rate of sarcopenia progression compared to those averaging the steps or more. And sarcopenia isn't just about weakness. Every pound of muscle you lose reduces your resting metabolic rate, makes it harder to balance, increases your risk of falls, and directly predicts your likelihood of losing independent living within 10 years. Falls are the leading cause of injury death in Americans over 30, and the biggest predictor of falling, loss of lower body muscle strength. Sitting is stealing that strength from you quietly, every single day. Thing friend fundy Sunday. Your brain begins to shrink. This is the one most people never expect. Number 4, prolonged sitting is actively shrinking your brain. A landmark UCLA study, published in PLOS One, followed civi adults between the ages of 13 and 17 and measured the thickness of their medial temporal lobe, the region of the brain most responsible for memory formation and retrieval. The result was clear and deeply concerning. The more hours participants spent sitting each day, the thinner and less active that brain region became. Thinning of the medial temporal lobe is a known precursor to cognitive decline and Alzheimer's disease. And critically, this thinning occurred regardless of how much moderate physical activity the participants engaged in. What happens physiologically is this. Sitting reduces cerebral blood flow, the circulation of oxygen and nutrient-rich blood, to your brain. It also reduces the production of a protein called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which is essentially the brain's fertilizer. It helps neurons grow, form connections, and repair themselves. When you sit for hours, BDNF production plummets. I think about my patient Gerald, a 40-year-old retired engineer from Phoenix, who came to me complaining of increasing forgetfulness, misplacing keys, losing his train of thought mid-sentence. He was sitting 40 to 20 hours a day. Within 30 weeks of following the movement protocol I'll share with you, he reported marked improvements in recall and concentration. His family noticed. He noticed his brain was not broken. It was just starved of movement. Thing fundy time. Your spine becomes a time bomb. Number 5. Your spine is paying a devastating price for every hour in that chair. Your spinal discs, the shock-absorbing cushions between your vertebrae, do not have their own blood supply. They rely on a process called imbibition, a pumping mechanism where movement literally squeezes nutrients in and waste products out of the disc tissue. When you sit still, this pumping mechanism stops. The result, disc degeneration accelerates. The nucleus pulposus, the gel-like center of each disc, slowly loses hydration and elasticity. And at the same time, the muscles that normally support your spine, the multifidus, the erector spinae, the deep stabilizers, fatigue and weaken. Your posture collapses. Vertebrae begin to press against each other at angles they were never designed for. A thorough meta-analysis of Fundy studies, involving over 20,000 adults, found that sedentary time of more than 6 hours per day was associated with a thundy higher incidence of chronic lower back pain in adults, over Fundy 54%. And yet most of those people had no idea the culprit was their chair. Thing punzi, your metabolism crashes and burns. The sixth consequence is metabolic, and it compounds everything else on this list. When you sit for extended periods, your body dramatically reduces its production of lipoprotein lipase, an enzyme essential for breaking down fat molecules in your bloodstream. The result, triglycerides rise, HDL cholesterol, your protective good cholesterol, drops, and your body becomes less efficient at burning stored fat for energy. This is why so many of my patients tell me they're eating well, barely eating, and still gaining weight. They can't understand it, but the answer is almost always the same. They're sitting for 40 hours a day, and their metabolic machinery has essentially powered down. A 40 study from the American College of Sports Medicine found that just 3 hours of uninterrupted sitting reduced fat burning capacity by nearly 40%, and this effect was most pronounced in adults over 22. Your metabolism after surgery is already slower. Sitting slows it further. It is a double blow. Thing 30 meteor, your mental health quietly deteriorates. And finally, number 7, the effect that gets talked about least but matters just as deeply. Your mental and emotional health suffers when you sit too long. Depression and anxiety rates among older adults who are sedentary are significantly higher than in their active peers. And the mechanism is biological, not just circumstantial. Prolonged sitting reduces production of serotonin and dopamine, neurotransmitters that regulate mood, motivation, and emotional resilience. It also elevates cortisol, your primary stress hormone, which over time contributes to chronic inflammation, disrupted sleep, and a deepening sense of fatigue and low energy. A thorough study from the University of Toronto analyzed data from 90,000 adults over 30 and found that each additional hour of daily sedentary time was associated with a 30% increase in self-reported symptoms of depression, independent of sleep quality, social contact, or physical health status. And here is the cycle that breaks my heart. People feel low in energy, so they sit more. The more they sit, the lower their energy goes. The lower their energy goes, the less they want to move. It becomes a trap that tightens with every passing week. But here is what I want you to hold on to. Every single one of these 7 consequences is modifiable. You are not helpless against them. In fact, the solution is simpler and more immediate than you might expect. All right, you now understand what is happening inside your body. Now let's talk about exactly what to do about it. I want to be very clear about something. I am not asking you to run a marathon. I am not asking you to join a gym. I am not asking you to overhaul your life. The protocol I use with my patients, the one that produced that sous vide improvement rate I mentioned earlier, is built on 5 practical evidence-based strategies that fit into any lifestyle at any fitness level. Let me walk you through each one. Solution 4, the 40 rule. The most powerful single change you can make is this. Never sit for more than 40 minutes without standing or moving for at least 2 minutes. I call this the 4D rule, and the research behind it is remarkable. A thorough clinical trial from New Zealand's University of Otago randomized 40 adults, over 40 into 2 groups. One sat continuously. The other followed a 40-minute sit, 40-minute light movement pattern throughout the day. After 4 weeks, the movement group showed a 40 improvement in blood sugar regulation, a 40 improvement in blood pressure readings, and reported 20 less afternoon fatigue. 3 minutes, every 40 minutes. That is all it takes to interrupt the physiological cascade of sitting damage. Here is your action plan. Set a timer on your phone or your watch. Every 20 minutes, stand up. You don't need to exercise. You can walk to the kitchen and back, do a few standing marches in place, walk to the window and look outside. 3 minutes of any movement at all. If you implement nothing else from this video, implement this. It will change your body. I've seen it happen hundreds of times. Solution 5. The standing snack protocol. The second strategy is what I call standing snacks. And before you roll your eyes at the name, hear me out. A standing snack is a fun to 10-minute bout of targeted movement, done 3 to 5 times per day. These are not workouts. They are tiny doses of muscle activation specifically designed to counteract the effects of sitting. The 3 I recommend most for seniors are standing heel raises, seated to stand transitions, and wall push-offs. Standing heel raises, stand behind a chair, hold the back for balance, and slowly rise onto your toes 10 times. This activates your calf muscles, one of your most important circulatory pumps for blood in the lower legs. Seated to stand transitions from a seated position. Stand up without using your hands, then sit back down slowly. This is one of the most powerful exercises in all of geriatric medicine for preserving quadricep strength and preventing falls. Wall push-offs. Stand 20 inches from a wall. Place your hands flat against it and do slow push-offs 2 to 5 times. Upper body engagement, posture support, and circulation all in one. A fun study from the British Journal of Sports Medicine found that 3 to 5 exercise snacks of 50 minutes per day produced equivalent cardiovascular benefits to a single 30-minute moderate intensity workout in adults over 34 minutes, 3 to 5 times a day. Your body cannot tell the difference. Expected timeline: most patients begin to feel more energetic and less achy within 2 to 3 weeks. Measurable strength improvements begin around week 6. Solution 3 to 46. Solution 2A. The morning activation sequence strategy. Number 3 addresses one of the most dangerous times of day for seniors, the first 2 hours after waking. Many of my patients wake up, get their coffee, sit at the kitchen table, and then drift from the kitchen chair to the living room couch. And by 20 a.m., they've already been seated for nearly 2 hours. That early morning sedentary window sets the metabolic tone for the entire day. What I prescribe instead is a 5-minute morning activation sequence before you sit down for breakfast. Here is exactly what it looks like. Minute 1, slow marching in place, lifting your knees gently. Gets the blood moving, wakes up the hip flexors. Minute 2, phone gentle torso rotations. Standing with your arms loosely crossed over your chest, rotating your upper body left and right, mobilizes the thoracic spine, starts lubricating those discs. Minute 3, Founder rolls forward, Fundi backward counters the forward slump posture most of us carry from sleep. Minute 4. Standing calf raises and arm circles simultaneously. Multi-joint engagement. Minute 5. A slow, controlled, deep breathing walk in place. Breathe in for 4 counts, out for 4. This activates the parasympathetic nervous system and reduces morning cortisol. Research from Stanford's Center on Longevity found that adults who performed even 5 minutes of morning movement had significantly lower cortisol levels by mid-morning, better insulin sensitivity throughout the day, and reported higher energy levels compared to those who moved later or not at all. 5 minutes before your first cup of coffee, it will transform your days. Solution fine. The evening wind-down walk strategy. 4 targets the second most dangerous sedentary window, the evening. After dinner, the natural pull is toward the television. And I understand that you've earned rest, but here is what happens metabolically after a meal when you immediately sit. Your post-meal blood glucose spike peaks higher and stays elevated longer. That glucose you just consumed, instead of being driven into your muscle cells, floats in your bloodstream, causing glycation and inflammation. The antidote is profoundly simple: a 40-minute walk within 40 minutes of finishing dinner. A 40 study from Uppsala University in Sweden found that a 2-minute post-dinner walk reduced post-meal blood glucose by 40 in adults over 30. Better than any diabetes medication I can prescribe for that specific window. You do not need to walk fast. A comfortable, leisurely stroll around the block is sufficient. The muscle contractions of walking are enough to activate glucose uptake, even without elevated heart rate. And beyond the metabolic benefits, an evening walk reduces anxiety, improves sleep quality, and provides exposure to natural light, which regulates your circadian rhythm. It is one of the highest return on investment activities a senior can do. My patient Robert, a 40-year-old retired dentist from Richmond, Virginia, started taking a 40-minute walk after dinner every night. Within 8 weeks, his fasting glucose dropped 40 points. He lost 40 pounds without changing his diet, and his sleep quality improved so significantly that his wife started joining him. Start with Sumbi minutes. Build to Sumbi. Your body will thank you. Solution Fombi, the hydration movement link, the 5th strategy, is one most people overlook entirely, and it beautifully solves 2 problems at once. Many seniors are chronically dehydrated. The thirst sensation diminishes with age. Your body simply stops sending clear signals that you need water. And dehydration after thickens your blood, reduces oxygen delivery to tissues, impairs kidney function, and accelerates cognitive decline. Here is the connection to sitting. Dehydration makes you feel fatigued and heavy, which makes you want to sit more, and drinking more water forces you to get up more, to refill your glass, to visit the bathroom. It creates natural movement breaks built right into your biology. My prescription: keep an ounce water glass, not a bottle, a glass at your side throughout the day. Every time you finish it, stand up to refill it. Don't fill it all the way. Make the refill trips frequent. A thorough review of hydration in geriatric populations from the European Journal of Nutrition concluded that adults over 35 who maintained optimal daily hydration showed throughout better cognitive test scores, throughout this lower inflammatory markers, and significantly greater mobility compared to chronically underhydrated peers. Aim for 6 to 8 glasses of water daily, spread throughout the day, and let every refill trip become a movement break. This single habit alone will get you out of your chair 8 additional times a day. That is 8 additional circulation boosts, 8 additional blood sugar regulation events, 8 additional moments your brain and muscles are getting nourished. Small things done consistently change everything. Before I give you your final recap and action plan, I want to take a quick moment to connect with you. If this video has given you even one thing to think about, one habit to try, one fact that surprised you, I want to hear about it. Drop a comment below right now. Tell me, how many hours a day are you typically sitting? And which of these 5 strategies do you think you'll try first? I read every comment, every single one, and your responses help me understand what topics matter most to you. so I can keep making videos that actually move the needle for your health. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. Every week I release new content on senior health, backed by current research designed for practical real-world application. No fluff, no gimmicks, just the truth about what works. Click that bell icon so you never miss an episode. Next week, I'll be covering the 5 foods that are silently destroying your joints after 14, and the 3 anti-inflammatory alternatives that most people have never heard of. You won't want to miss it. All right, let's finish strong. Let me give you your complete recap, and then I want to leave you with something important. Today you learned that sitting more than 4 hours a day after 40 triggers 7 cascading responses in your body. Number 1. Blood sugar dysregulation, the foundation of metabolic disease. Number 2. Cardiovascular deterioration, arteries stiffening, circulation slowing. Number 3. Accelerated sarcopenia, muscle dissolving, strength eroding. Number 4. Cognitive decline, your brain literally thinning from lack of movement. Number 5. Spinal degeneration, discs drying out, pain taking hold. Number 6. Metabolic collapse, fat accumulating, energy tanking. And number 7. Mental health deterioration, mood, motivation, and joy quietly draining away. And you now have 5 concrete strategies to counteract all of it. The 40 rule, standing snacks, the morning activation sequence, the evening wind-down walk, and the hydration movement link. None of these require a gym membership. None of them require equipment. None of them require you to be athletic or young or in perfect health. They require only one thing, a decision. A decision that your health is worth 5 minutes of morning movement. That your independence is worth standing up every 40 minutes. That the years ahead of you are worth 10 minutes of walking after dinner. I want you to hear this clearly. It is not too late. I have watched patients in their SUs and SUs reclaim strength they thought was gone forever. I have watched people come off multiple medications because they started moving more. I have watched human beings rediscover joy in their bodies, joy they thought aging had stolen permanently. That is not wishful thinking. That is physiology. That is what your body is designed to do when you give it what it needs. The body you have right now today is capable of remarkable change, but it needs you to stand up, literally. Start today. Start with one thing from this list. Just one, because one thing done consistently is the beginning of everything. I'm Dr. James Harlow. Subscribe, leave a comment below, and I'll see you in the next video. Take good care of yourself, because you deserve to.